Hello, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio, the podcast. As you know, if you've been around a while, the podcast that features hundreds of great interviews with proven Amazon course students who have built beautiful businesses. That's right. We love to bring on students who've applied the strategies we talk about on this show, and we share their very real stories. We've got coaching students, we've got proven Amazon course students, like I mentioned, and we've got hundreds of interviews from real people. And the reason we do this is for a couple of reasons. One, it really is the best marketing and validation that what we teach works. Hearing real people doing it, real people who have fought through, struggled through, figured it out. Today's case, Tim, who you're about to meet, he was working a full-time job. He managed to build a seven-figure business on Amazon, doing the models we teach, and now he's full-time. As of about 5, 6 months ago, he went full-time into Amazon selling, and he's loving the routine. He talks about that today, how his lifestyle has changed. No more alarm clock, no more going off to his construction job every day. He's home with his family, working with family, building a business, seven-figure business, running it. I think he said just over 1.1 million last year. He's aiming for as close to 2 as he can get this year. Great profit margins. We go into all of that today. This is one of the stories that I would consider to be towards the higher end of the success stories you'll hear in our community. We've certainly heard people with bigger businesses, but we tend to share most stories of people who have just started getting rolling with their first $10,000 or $30,000 month, that kind of thing. They're starting to see a lifestyle change. They're starting to build a routine. So listeners really like those episodes. But we also like mixing in plenty of episodes with our students who have built incredible businesses that have dramatically and drastically changed their lifestyle, how they made that journey. We continue to be very bullish and excited about selling on Amazon as an opportunity. In spite of all of the challenges, in spite of all the changes that are constantly coming, we've been seeing that same stuff for 14, 15 years. Change is part of the game. If you think you're going to build a business online using the internet creatively without ever having to change anything or ever having to adapt to new rules, policies, or whatever's coming down the line, well, you've been sold a false story. You've been sold a false narrative. It doesn't work that way. I don't know of anyone that's been successful in e-commerce over any significant period of time who wouldn't say, yes, change is the only constant. You got to be willing to learn new things. You got to be willing to try new things. When something's working, that's the time when you're over here testing a couple other new ideas. Well, that's what Tim's been doing. And the niche that he's found himself in right now, he's got a few different things going on, but one of them that's working really well is talking to brands directly and selling their products on Amazon. Underserved brands, there's hundreds of thousands of these out there. They're not selling wildly popular on Amazon, but they're selling enough. He'll talk to them. He'll become one of their brand advocates on Amazon, start selling their stuff. He's doing really well. Like I said, he's built a very profitable seven-figure business, and that's a lot of his emphasis. But he's still doing a lot of replens, RA, OA type of stuff as well. He's also launching his own brand. We spent some time talking towards the end of the episode about that. And I also spent some time today talking with him before the recording and during the show about coming to our conference in May. He's very close to making the decision to come. He's got some family conflicts and things that may prevent it from happening, but it looks like he's probably going to be able to make it to the Proven Conference. The website is theprovenconference.com. Join us the last 3 days of May 2025 in Orlando, Florida. There's a link in the show notes with all those details. Get over there to that. If you are tight on funds, or if you've never been to our event before, we want you there at no charge. Come on scholarship. Come on down. We'd love to see you be a part of this event. 1,200 people are already in the event Facebook group. That's people who are going to be watching the live stream, also getting the recordings because they can't be there. And everyone who's attending is in that group as well. So the group is already coming alive with a lot of activity and people talking about the event, sharing information, insights, updates with each other. It's going to be a great group to be a part of the next month or so. The way to get in there is to go to this website. I already told you, theprovenconference.com. Look for the live stream option if you can't join us live. get a ridiculously discounted price on live stream and all the recordings. If you can't be there in Orlando, we'd love to help you out to get all that. There's over 45 breakout sessions planned with people who are doing the businesses they're teaching you. People like Tim, who you're about to meet. He's been on our show a couple times in the past. It's been quite a while since we had him on the show, but it's a great story of a journey from clueless newbie, construction worker, decides he wants to do something online, came into our community, got into our coaching program, loves his coach. He talks about that today quite a bit as well. Very much successful and very excited about the future. So let's get over and spend some time with our friend, Tim Holter. Enjoy this interview. So, Tim, welcome back to the podcast. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. You've been on the show before, and we'll probably link to that in the show notes. But for those who haven't met you before or aren't familiar with your story, how about a quick recap, get us up to speed, and we'll dive into what you've been working on.
Yeah, so I had started selling in 2018, and I kind of got my feet wet flipping books. And from there, I started to do more OA, RA, and then I got into wholesale and did my first private label. And as of most recently, I've been doing mostly brand direct deals, wholesale. So that's been working for my business. And yeah, looking to launch another private label here shortly.
So you went full time. Here we are, May 2025. At the end of 2024, was it November, December? You went full time, right?
Yep, in November went full time and been doing this ever since.
Yeah. So, how big of a business? We were talking before we hit record today, but just share what's possible. You were working full time at a real job. I use air quotes anytime I say that, right? Because having your own business feels like a job. There's work to do, but you've got to. You were well. Let's talk about that. You were doing a full time job and Amazon. How big did it get? What was your routine like? Just talk me through like those last 6 months of having a job and having an Amazon business that was at that point even pushing seven figures, right?
Yeah, so 2024 was a pretty tough year. I would typically get up at 5, 6 o'clock, either do computer work, put orders in, or prep while working a stressful construction job. So, with grinding that out and getting to the point to go full time, that's been a big reliever. But it was just a lot of long days and hard work, and it paid off in the end. And now I get to spend more time with my family and kind of do more things that, I enjoy to do.
Yeah, you went through, I call that season of intense focused effort. Sometimes people do it for a few months, sometimes it's a year or two. It's not sustainable as a lifestyle over the long term, but that intense focused effort. Congratulations, man, doing what you had to do to build a lifestyle that was kind of the goal, right? Replace the income, earn more, and have a better lifestyle. That was the trajectory. And you did it, man. You've accomplished it. Now, there's still plenty of stress, and we can talk about the different things that go along with having an Amazon business. But I've been in this reality for 23 years, and I know my experience is it doesn't matter how stressful it gets being in e-commerce, it can never make me want to go back and have a real job. It's like get up at 5 or 6 in the morning, come back home tired at the end of the day, giving the best hours of my day every day to someone else's business,
Yeah.
and being away from my family. Right.
Yeah.
So, talk me through that a little bit now that you're a few months into this new routine. What's it like just from a routine and schedule vantage point?
For one, first, it still doesn't feel real. I feel like I'm living in a different world, just
Yeah.
kind of getting over the rat race,
I
wake up,
remember that
go to
the
work.
money feels like different money. It's like, is this monopoly money or something? Like, is
Yeah.
this even real? Because you're used to having to do so much stress. And it felt different hitting the bank than when it's coming in through PayPal or coming in through Amazon or yeah, I get it, man. Yeah.
No, I turned off my alarm clock. I don't use an alarm anymore. I
Mhm.
wake up and kind of just get started and say hi to the family when my daughter gets up. And typically when we're not sick here, we'll go to the Y at her, mid morning, get a workout in, come back and work. And sometimes it's a long day or sometimes it's a short day if it's nice out. But you never turn off as a business owner. It's kind of always a grind every day. And Yeah, no, it's been awesome. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get. How old's your daughter?
3.
3. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I'm 20 years ahead of you on this routine. I'm 23, 24 years full-time e-commerce. That's the only income. And it hasn't gotten old yet. I still don't use an alarm clock. I get up when my body's done sleeping and tackle the day. And very much a weather-based family routine as well. Like you said, I love you said before we hit record today, you're getting yourself back in shape. Like you went for a run, right? Like you're in control of your schedule again, and the benefits for your mental, emotional, spiritual health, your family relationships, and if you're doing it right, the bank account just keeps on growing too. I love
Y-
to see dads get to be home because I know what it feels like. So well done, Tim.
Just 2 weeks ago, I met with a manufacturer, and I ended up taking my daughter with because we had to get ready for a party. So my wife was doing that, and
Mhm.
she came with. We went and got some coffees. Well, not her. She likes the cake pops, but
It sounds like a
I
Starbucks run. Yep.
yeah, took her to the zoo for a while, went to
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, played at the play place, and came home at nap time. So it's just having that freedom,
Mhm.
it's I wish everyone could have it, but you just gotta work hard to get there and eventually it'll come.
Yeah. Yeah. That exact experience that you're describing is what lit a fire under me and made me start teaching this stuff. It's like
Yeah.
this is incredible. The money spends the same way, coming in from PayPal or eBay at the time, or the options, right, and doing some things. Now it's Amazon is the primary thing that we focus on around here, especially for new folks. But the money spends the same way, but it's just your life routine can be so much less stressful or so much more blended together, not as segmented. Something you just said, you took your daughter with you, right? The thing that started to occur to me was, and this has been my reality for a couple decades, is I didn't know when I was being a good business guy versus a good dad versus a good husband, right? I didn't know because they were all so blended together all of a sudden. And our family routine, like we'd go on vacations, like, hey, you know what? On the off season, let's go to Disney. All right, we're going to go when the place is empty. We go. Well, everyone knows dad needs at least an hour or two a day to pop in, check on things, maybe send an email, maybe do some work. But besides that, like complete flexibility, right? That
Mhm.
became our routine. And my kids grew up in that environment. They're very entrepreneurial. We all love each other. We spend a lot of time. You hear those sad statistics that say half the time you'll ever spend with your kids is up to the age of like 16 or whatever, right? It's like I got to spend a lot of time with my kids, and they're still around, and we still enjoy each other's company now that they're older, young adults. And
Yeah.
I want that for other people. That's what you said.
Oh, 100%, and it sounds all good, but you gotta have discipline. You can't just, "Oh, you gotta find other times to work, whether you're gonna wake up
Mhm.
early that day or work that
Mhm.
I still, put hours in, but it's
Of
just
course.
on my own terms.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have the open door rule. I mean, my door right there. If it's open, the kids grew up knowing this. Come on in. Any point. You don't have to say, Dad, are you busy? Just walk right in. If the door's shut, knock if it's important. Otherwise, dad's doing something he can't be interrupted. And that's a few hours a week, maybe. Like right now, the door's shut. Everyone knows what that means.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're doing life together. You're under the same roof in the same area. They all worked in the business. Your 3-year-old will soon be able to put stickers on things and
She does
all get
already.
used.
Yeah. In the morning, sometimes she'd come out and
Mhm.
eat a simple breakfast and then help sticker or put the stuff in bags, so,
Yeah. One of the first jobs we had our kids do was just write little fun notes on Post-it notes.
yeah.
Happy faces, hearts, whatever, have a nice day as they started to learn how to write. And we would just stick that in every package. Like their job was to make sure that the people who open this later have a really nice day. We want them to be blessed because of our business, right? So that was their contribution. And they took it seriously and they would have a blast doing it. And they'd lose interest after an hour, and that's fine. They're a kid, they go do
Yeah.
their thing, but they're
Or
they're helping dad on his business.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Super, super stuff. Well, okay, so you've got about a seven-figure business. You've been doing this for a little while. You just went full time. We talked about your routine and your schedule, and I think that's what want people to really hear is these are the things that are possible. Now, it's like you said, it takes work, there's still stress points. There's still decisions that have to be made. There's still risk involved, right? So talk me through some of the routines. You mentioned you're doing some brand direct stuff right now. When you say that, what's involved there? How did you get into that?
So when I tried online arbitrage, and it's good, right? It's some of the margins, like Kangol talk, like the margins are big when you kind of watch the stuff he does. So I still dabble in there. I want to dabble a little more, but I like brand direct specifically, and typically people that only allow a certain amount of sellers on with map pricing. I think all that's very important. So that's what worked for me, and just to do steady orders. I found a niche on how to do it, and I just like that way more. It's and the best thing about it is I don't have to always worry about when is the next seller gonna come on. We have 5 now, when are we gonna have 30? Because my business, I don't tend to go after the fast moving products. I have a bigger scale of ASINs with my bread and butter. I kinda like the 10 to 20 drop range per month. So that's just kinda what worked for me, and just obviously building the relationships with brands. Like, one of them teed off like, "Oh, hey, we have a manufacturer down the road looking to get on Amazon." Haven't gotten anywhere yet, but it's a new account, so maybe that'll turn into something. So
Gotcha. Yeah. So building relationships with brands and being one of their few preferred sellers. So you don't have to worry about if they end up getting brand registered and Amazon starts limiting the number of sellers or kicking sellers off, you're one of the guys that's still allowed in. Right.
correct.
That's great. How many of those relationships would you say you've got right now, approximate?
I have a good handful. I haven't launched them all yet, but yeah, I just keep looking. I wanna have about 20 to 25 going.
And that's enough for you to have a seven-figure business right now.
Yeah, and I turn like, I'll find them, and then if it's if they don't have map pricing, or if there's too many sellers, I kinda will even say no. I won't even take or do business. I just like to have that certain niche, and that's what's worked for me.
Yeah, right. Have you ever considered helping them launch their own Amazon account? Any of them? Have you done any of that yet? We call it the PPP around here, proven product partnering,
I
as a way
haven't.
as a way to diversify. That might be something for you to consider, just as a way to diversify. If you hear, especially if you start hearing rumblings of a brand saying, "Yeah, we're thinking about doing this ourselves and hiring." That's why it's good to have these conversations and these open dialogues. You'd be the first to hear something like that. If a
Yeah,
brand starts saying, "Yeah, we're thinking about bringing someone in house and maybe doing this," we've even had people, Tim. I don't know if you've heard the stories, but one specific student, I think he was. I can't remember if he was a coach on our team or not there for a minute. I think he was there for a while, but they made a huge offer, bought his entire Amazon business, hired him to run just their account. It's a huge account, and he gets paid a cut, almost like a commissioned salesperson, but it's not his Amazon account. So basically, he said, I'm doing the same thing I've always done, just I'm getting paid a lot more, and it's not my Amazon account anymore. It's
yeah,
someone else's, right? Uh, and I need to check in on him actually, because that was about a year or so ago. But those are the kind of opportunities, focusing on the relationship is the point I'm trying to make, Tim.
yeah,
That's the way to diversify and also stabilize your income streams. Diversified multiple streams of income, stability, meaning I'm not nervous if Amazon were to suspend me for a couple weeks. It doesn't break everything, right? Because I've got other things rocking. A guy at your level, those are the kind of thoughts I would like to encourage you to be thinking about.
yeah,
Those relationships that maybe you could help them launch their own stuff. But
yeah.
what challenges come with this model? Because I know most listeners, if they're new, especially to this show, are in the RAOA, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, replens model, building a big catalog, inch deep, mile wide, all that stuff, right? A whole bunch of ASINs. And you're kind of doing that too. You've always got to be finding new ASINs, right? But what's different about this brand direct? It,
I really don't have to worry about, like, the IP complaints, having too many sellers.
Mhm.
It's more of a stable, I think of it more of a stable business model. If you wanted to sell your business in the future, I think it's a little
Oh, yeah.
more eye-opening to someone.
It's a sellable asset for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, if you're gonna do brand direct, you really, really, really have to know how to talk to people. That's the number one thing. If you gotta learn how to read people, right? because I've had people say no, and I'm selling their stuff now.
Yeah.
Um,
Persisted.
yeah, because they're just Amazon. It's how do we help brands gain back that Amazon confidence? Right. Because when you think of if you're in the shoes of a brand and you have people selling a product at 9.99 on Amazon, but brick and mortar's 14.99, those people aren't going to be happy because they might. So it's like, how do you talk to brands? You got to really, really be on board with map pricing.
Hmm.
So it's just kind of knowing those different things and it's just finding out why don't you guys like Amazon? And the big part is map pricing. People
Yep.
that penny game and next thing you know the price is so tanked and stores are getting mad because Amazon is cheaper and
Hmm.
so you really you have to put yourself in their shoes and it makes 100% chance. Like I'm a guy, I hate people that play the penny game. Like why do you do it? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And no one ultimately wins. The customer, the end shopper consumer isn't too unhappy when they see prices tank. They love it. But I want to talk about that map pricing for just a minute and how that opens up a door of opportunity. Tanked ASINs are opportunities from my vantage point. If it's a smaller brand, now if it's a Nike or I call them the brands that advertise on TV. Those are harder brands to have a conversation with. They've got
Yeah.
teams of lawyers and red tape to get through to even have a conversation with the right people. But those smaller brands that tank, I'm using air quotes, a tank is actually an opportunity because, like you just said, brands don't like seeing their prices driven into the dirt because then the brick and mortar, which represents 80% of all sales for most brands, the traditional brick and mortar, they come to that brand and complain and say, hey, you're telling us we can't sell your product for less than 20 bucks. That's the minimum advertised price I'm allowed to put it on the shelf for, 20 bucks. But I get on Amazon and I see it selling for 14. What's up? Right? So the brand is getting pushed back from the, like you already said, from the traditional brick and mortar channel because sellers went out, bought a bunch. Now some of them are trying to liquidate it. They're doing the penny game, driving it into the dirt. You come along as a educated seller like you, Tim, or others. Anyone could do this. We actually teach this in our wholesale training. It's a module inside the Proven Amazon course. This is basically wholesale selling in general because you're building a relationship with the brand and you're placing direct orders. And that's where the opportunities are is those brand direct opportunities is to say, hey, your price got driven into the dirt. I'm guessing that's below your map pricing. I've got a proposed solution for you. Let me help you. Because the other point I wanted to make, Tim, was the vast majority of brands, if you have conversations with them,
Mhm.
do not like Amazon. Right? It's just
100%.
like the vast majority. So where there's a problem, where there's a huge pool of anger and confusion, there's opportunity.
Yeah.
And we can go solve those. So talk me through, have you had any of those kinds of conversations where you've kind of come in and proposed a solution and gone on to win that brand as a result?
I haven't done that, but like one of them I got a no and we just start talking and I go like, so can I like to ask, right? I like to educate myself, like what are brands seeing out there? And it's 90% of the time for me, it's map pricing, right? It's driving the prices down. And I go 100%. I said, if I get the account, first thing I was going to ask you is, do you have map pricing? Because sometimes I'll walk away,
If you
right?
don't. Hmm.
Yep. And I go, we need to start protecting brands on Amazon because, right, what if a product's 14.99 and then one day it's 8.99 and maybe it's a product people keep coming back to buy and then they come back at it's 18.99. What is that going to look like for protecting your brand too? Just up and down like so yeah, that's the biggest thing is you got to put yourself in their shoes and
Yeah.
how can you help them? That's kinda what I got good at, and it works, and just picking up the phone a lot, because it
Yes.
in the wholesale game, you gotta call a lot of people to get an account.
We had one of our coaches, he's too busy to coach for us anymore because his business blew up, which happens all the time to us. That's kind of the ascension ladder of opportunity in this community is clueless newbie, making a few extra $100, making a few thousand, going full time, 7-figure, become a coach, other opportunities drop out of the sky, and you're just too busy to even be a coach anymore. That's kind of the ascension ladder of opportunity that we see. But he had this one shoe brand, huge shoe brand. If I mentioned who they were, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I've heard of them. And he approached them exactly the way you are. It's like, hey, I'm seeing your stuff getting price tanked everywhere. Do you guys have map pricing? Like, go away. We don't talk to small sellers. We don't need. So he went to a couple trade shows where he knew they were going to be, met the reps, had conversations with them, begged his way into getting some small orders because they were in the process of trying to lock out all resellers except their hand-picked few. And he knew that was happening. And that's a game in and of itself.
Mhm.
As a little sidebar, Amazon likes to keep the floodgates wide open as a general rule, because who's most important to Amazon? The shopper.
Yeah.
Complaining brands, they don't care. Complaining sellers, they don't care. Unless there's a lawsuit that they have to pay attention to, they want to be the best possible price and selection for the shoppers. If you keep that in mind, it helps you play the game a lot better. But this brand was successfully complaining, got brand registered, jumped through all the hoops to start eliminating some other sellers off that brand. And they were really paring things down. But this guy from our community was persistent. Like you said, getting on the phone, going to shows, meeting them, placing orders when he said he was going to place them, placed just a few small orders. And one day they contacted him and said, hey, we like you. We've met you. We know you. We trust you. You're going to be one of our 4 or 5. And they even came out with lines of product now for him to sell on Amazon because they trust him so much with their account because he of the relationship. Again, people think this is e-commerce. It's impersonal. It's selling random widgets to random strangers and sourcing from random people you'll never meet. No, the more personal you can make it, your advantages rocket. So
Yeah.
that's what I always wanted to emphasize. And I know you know these things, Tim, but those kind of opportunities are so abundant. There's hundreds of thousands of brands that would love for someone they can rely on to take over, protect map pricing, help them with their brand registry, help them protect their brand on Amazon. If someone sets up a nasty bundle, helping them navigate reporting it and getting it taken down, that sort of thing, right? Because
Yeah.
traditional retail is 80% of the game. That's where they want to focus. And they don't want that part complaining about Amazon sellers and their destruction of the prices. So that's me talking too much. I just want to, I'm not trying to educate you, Tim, just as much as the listener, get them up to speed that there's a huge opportunity here and you've tapped into this.
Yeah.
To build a 7-figure business doing it. So
And
go anywhere you want with that. Hey, we'll get back to the great episode in just a moment. Sorry for the interruption, but I want to point something out. If you're enjoying this program, this podcast, could you do us a little favor? Could you spread the word? Send some friends to silentjimdotcom and say, hey, check out this podcast. Multiple streams of income, learn to sell on Amazon, great free content. Hey, help us spread the word. That's the way we market this show, is you sharing with others. That's why we have over 6 million downloads on iTunes alone. And speaking of iTunes, would you leave us a review? We love to see those iTunes reviews rolling in. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes as well. That really helps us out in the industry to get recognition and gain followers and subscribers. If you subscribe yourself, leave us a review. By the way, did you know that this show that you're listening to right now was voted as the #1 podcast for Amazon sellers by an independent survey in late 2024? That's right, the #1 show for Amazon sellers. We won. And you're a big part of why. So thank you for being a listener. You're the best part of this show. But hey, help us spread the word if you don't mind. That helps us continue to bring you quality content, attract high quality sponsors and other listeners who will pay attention to what we're doing here, because we want to teach you to use the internet creatively to launch and grow multiple streams of income. We need your help to spread the word. We want to help others do the same. All right. God bless you, business building warrior. Thanks for a couple moments of your time. Let's get back to the show. Build a 7-figure business doing it. So
and
go anywhere you want with that.
and don't, like, when you call people and they say no, just learn from it. And if they still say no, appreciate it and just say, I appreciate what you're doing with Map. I think that's a big part in building brands. And ask to be on, hey, can I follow up with you? Typically they'll say yeah. So just never take no for an answer, but I still don't push too hard when they say no. I just try to navigate the ways with the experience I have to figure out, like, what is that true no and how can I help them. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but you just find another one to call, another one and another one.
Well,
And
talk me through that a little bit. What is, if you're making the case and you call, like if I've got a brand and I've got a few tanking ASINs and it's obvious to you as a seller that I could use some help. But my first response is, no, Tim, we don't need any more Amazon sellers. Thank you. What do you pull out of your arsenal? Let's say, yeah, I'll give you half an hour phone call. What bullet points are you going to talk to me about to convince me? Besides map pricing, is there anything else that's in your
uh,
toolkit to convince me that I should give you a listen?
yeah, and if there's too many, I won't, right, if they say that, I'll kind of step away and add me to their list if some people straggle out, right? Because I play with the lower drop ASINs and the smaller companies.
They aren't getting bombarded with phone calls.
Correct. And, you're not dealing with 20, 30, 40 people, right? But yeah, no, I really pitch my business. It's a family business. We take pride in what we do. We physically look at everything. We take everything out of the box. If something's damaged, we put ourselves in the brand shoes. We don't sell it. We reach out. You just you want to tell them, you don't want to lie, right? You want to tell them everything you do, and that's how our store has a 5-star rating. It's all family. We want to grow something, and it's yeah, again, I always go back, just put yourself in their shoes if that was your business. So that's a couple pointers that I
Yeah.
have.
Who do you talk to? Who do you ask for when you contact these brands?
Typically it'll just be like customer service, and then I'll just say I'm calling to look to open a wholesale account. And if they don't have to transfer, I'll say, "Hey, do you accept Amazon sellers?" I'm straight up. I
Mhm.
say that right away, so we're not wasting anyone's time. And if they say no, that's when I start pitching like, "Hey, what's the reason?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
and I stay away from emails.
good for you.
It's like very minimal. You got to talk to people on the phone, right?
Hmm.
I don't know if they're having a bad day, if they see Amazon seller, see you later.
Yeah.
It's you got to, brighten up the conversation and just talk on the phone if you can.
Yeah. Do you ever do any Zoom?
I don't.
I'd suggest you try it.
I do.
The close rate's going to rocket up.
Yeah. It's just that connection. And I offer, hey, I want to come out and visit the facility and see what your operation.
Even
They,
better in
they,
person. Yeah.
they love it. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
In person is 10 times better than Zoom. Zoom is 10 times better than a phone call. A phone call is 10 times better than a text. And a text is a little better than an email because it's real time. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can start to get 500x better results from, because I know these people that just send out a whole bunch of email, right? Like, oh my goodness, man, no, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not an advocate of that. Just sending out bulk blasts. I'd rather be strategic, pick brands. And something else I think, because you mentioned you're kind of in a niche, right?
I diversify, but yeah, the niche of just like smaller companies, brand direct deals.
Okay, niche based on the size of the brand on Amazon, the
Yeah,
10 to 20 drops per month,
kind of
you don't
what.
have anything in your catalog that's selling 1,000 times a month as an ASIN that you're battling it out with other sellers over.
Yeah,
That makes total sense.
you can have three, 2, 3 sellers on 10 to 20 drops. Heck, I've seen products where I sell 50 to 100 times if they're in that. Like you just never know.
Yeah. Hmm.
Even if you make 10 at $6, $60 a month times however many ASINs you have, it's you can play the numbers game. So
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it kind of goes along with that philosophy we've had forever around here, which is, for me at least personally, and for all new sellers, certainly for all new sellers, but even for more experienced sellers, I would rather have a catalog of ASINs that are kind of boring and sell a few times per month rather than, if I'm going to be a reseller now, okay, a few times per month, rather than having just a few ASINs that sell hundreds or thousands of times per month, because the margin monsters are coming for you. If you've only got a few products in your catalog, something bad's going to happen at the brand, at Amazon, and other sellers. Amazon could go buy 100,000 units of that thing for pennies on the dollar of what you're paying, and you're done, right?
and what's the biggest thing that happens when you are pushing 800,000, 2,000? What's going to happen to that listing? You're going to hit a leads list. I've seen it
Sure,
multiple times,
sure.
and that you'll go from like 5, 6, 7, 8, right? if you're on like an OA listing and
Mhm.
boom, one day you're up to 50, like, oh wow.
50 sellers and everyone's doing the penny game.
So that's why I kind of stay around away from the
Mhm.
fast movers because
Mhm.
you're less
Mhm.
likely to hit the leads list
Right.
too. You
But
don't.
then you got guys like Kang, they're like, hey, I don't care if 50 sellers hop on it. They're going to beat each other up. That ASIN's going to get a whole lot of attention. I'm going to hop back on it 3 months from now after they've all beaten the crud out of each other. The price is back where it needs to be. And there's only, 6 or 7 sellers again, just kind of
Same.
riding the roller coaster at the right points, right? There's all kinds of ways to do this business. But a price tanking ASIN is opportunity that
Yep.
hasn't played out yet.
Yeah, yeah. No, I keep them like I'm dabbling in 3P. I keep finding more stuff to sell, so now I get behind on trying to launch 3P, but I'm starting to kind of see.
So you are playing with it. Cool. That's good. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I was in the beta, well, not the beta, but like I signed up last year at the conference and
Right.
I played around with it a little bit. I think it's going to help a lot, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, even just for organizing the workflow of your machine. I mean, Kang's, $3 million business with a couple thousand ASINs and 2 people running the whole thing, and he had zero work for himself. Like
yeah,
that's pretty oppressive. I haven't seen another tool that does that in our
yeah.
industry. So,
Because I want to get to like 2,000 by the end of the year. I think that's doable.
oh,
So I
is that
probably,
your goal for a catalog?
yeah, because I probably
2,000
have
ASINs?
about
Yeah.
700 maybe. 700, six
Hmm.
hundred, 700. I haven't looked for a little bit, but yeah, no, just building up the catalog with good
Hmm.
brand direct deals and some replens. Because again, there's money to be made on OARA replens.
Yeah,
Once
so
that price
much.
inks, it's, yeah,
Yeah. And did you see I put some what I've been doing is jumping into Keepa every few days and just checking, doing the same search every few days. Did you see me post that by any chance?
I didn't.
Data. So this is pretty interesting. Just, is the pool of eligible ASINs growing or shrinking for resellers? That was my question. Like, let's find out. So I went into Keepa every 3 or 4 days for about a month, maybe 6 weeks, and grabbed the Keep a Product Finder result for this search. I want to see the ASINs that have zero FBA sellers and are dropping at least 12 times per month on a Keep a chart. Pretty simple search.
Yeah.
But clearly the trend is there's more. The bars were different, kind of bouncing up and down, but the trend line is up to the right, meaning any given day, we're trending towards having more popular products that sell on a regular basis that are completely unstocked in Amazon's FBA warehouse network. There's more today than there was a month ago. And there's going to be more a month from now than there are today.
Mhm.
The opportunity is expanding. So to your point, that OARA is expanding. Absolutely it is. The number of ASINs that are eligible is a growing catalog of possibilities. And I think the way the game is shifting right now, Tim, in my opinion, see what you think of this, but is the guys that are going to win long term and do really well, like you just said, they're going to have a big catalog of ASINs and they're letting a tool help them monitor it for
Yeah.
opportunities, when to get in and out.
Yeah. No, you have to. And I think that's kind of the game now. It's like having rental properties. You could have 30. What if 5 people move out? But if you have 1,000 and 20 people move out, like you still have that
Mhm.
opportunity. It's the same concept, right?
Yep.
So that's what I do. And then, OA, it's a quick flip. You don't have to worry about setting up a wholesale account and doing, the harder orders and whatnot or meeting minimums. If you have to spend 2,000 to order for free shipping. So OA, there's good opportunity there, and that's why I want to kind of dabble more back in to make a quicker profit and keep feeding the wholesale beast.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
what's your plans for 2025? Like you mentioned you want to get your catalog built up. Like what's your total revenue plan there?
I want to hit about 1.6 to 2 million this year.
2025. And I don't think we've mentioned your margin yet. Before we started talking, we did, but you were at about 15 points net
Yep,
last year, wanting
correct.
to hold steady there. Sometimes as you scale, you take a little hit on your net margins.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, to work only most of the year for a little bit in the morning and sometimes at night, that's not a bad gig.
No,
Like
dude, no. Are you kidding me?
I'd take
Yeah,
I'd take 10% if I had to, at
sure.
1.1 million to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to find a real job that beats those numbers and that routine and that schedule. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many hours are you working, per week, per day? How do you break it down on
I
average? Because we didn't
I
really
s-
get that.
I still try to do 40, treat it like a new job, right? Because I'm pretty new at full time. So
Hmm.
again, I gotta launch 3P, like, and I think that'll buy back time, and then I can
Oh,
start
it
putting
will.
family members on finding OA leads, and I'll stick to wholesale. So there's things I need to be putting into place to make that next step. But I hardly prep anymore. Family does that, and it's nice you get to spend time with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my niece is here today working, and
Oh, that's great. How old is she?
19.
Oh, okay. So you put your 19-year-old niece to work in the
Yeah.
business. Who else works on it with you?
My sister helps typically when I'm on overload and need to get some stuff out quick, but
Gotcha.
the
Yeah,
plan was to get her full time once I can move into a warehouse. I just got to hit the correct numbers and move shop north from where I live here. So
that's the
then,
plan.
yeah,
Very good. Sounds like you got a great team, man. I love working with family. Some people advise against it, but I've always thought it's a phenomenal adventure to do it together, right? And
yeah,
I'm all about it. Yeah, I've got my mom, my aunt, my kids. Andrea, my wife, has worked in the business, and it's very much in, close friends. You're going to come to love, trust, and respect each other if you're doing it right anyway. So why not just start with family? And even if things don't go well, you've done it together.
hmm,
You know, that's the reason. Interesting side note, but I didn't know for the longest time the difference between gambling and investing. From a biblical vantage point, one is encouraged and one is considered sinful, right?
yeah,
Gambling and investing. Well, you think, isn't investing just gambling? What's the difference? Well, no, you're doing it with someone. You're losing or winning together in an
yeah,
investment. Same thing with investing your time into a business. You're winning or losing together. So that's an admirable activity. We win together, we lose together, we're doing it together.
yeah,
Gambling, one of us is going to lose, one of us is going to win. It's destructive for relationships ultimately, especially at scale, right?
yeah,
So that's the difference. It's the relationship aspect. So if relationships are encouraged, man, hey, why not with the people you love, trust, and respect the most and do it? I love that you're doing it that way. And
yeah.
and those are the people that probably, to transition a little bit, that'll hold down the fort if you come to the conference, right? So you came last year to our conference. The next one's coming up right after this episode publishes, with the time we're doing this here mid-May, the conference. So I know before we hit record, you said you maybe or maybe not coming, but just talk me through what happened last year. What were your thoughts? And I'd love to do everything I can to convince you to come again this year if you're not too busy.
No, I think it's just nice to be able to talk to people and just you see it's a real deal. All the people that show up, you get the energy boost and you come out of there and you just want to take it to the next step. And, that's what I did after leaving last year. I just remember sitting on the balcony at the resort talking like, man, I just really got to leave. But leave my job, not the conference. But my biggest struggle was losing a good chunk of money, and we took the risk together. She kept telling me you got to do this full time because I was pretty burnt out. And yeah, after the conference, it was kind of nose to the grindstone, and it all worked out great. And here we are.
Yeah, yeah, still ascending and big plans, and I think you've got a very bright future, man. I really do. If I was coaching, I'd say stay relationship focused, like your instincts are already doing. But I think you need to be at the conference, not to beat you up too much, but I really think you need to be there. Turn this whole thing over to your niece and family, and come on down, man. Run the business from Orlando for a couple days. It'd be great to see you there.
Yeah, yeah. Probably be a hot one down there, huh? 90, 100 degrees or so.
Late May, it can be. You never know what you're going to get, really. Main thing we're trying to do is stay out of June, which is when hurricane season starts cranking up.
Oh,
And that can be rough on a conference schedule.
oh,
We had one year a hurricane blew. It was one of the years we were in Orlando in the middle of summer. A hurricane blew over the top of our hotel 2 weeks before we used it for a for an event. I was sweating. Like, what do we do if this thing gets canceled? Because like we didn't have event insurance. We got 800 people heading to Orlando, man. What do you do if it gets canceled?
yeah.
So yeah, but that's why we're early May, or excuse me, late May, staying away from hurricane season. But Yeah, man, it could be warm down there, but either way, man, we'll be indoors, nice cool air conditioning. You got to come down. It's
Yeah.
gonna be phenomenal. Bring the family, man. You got a new flexible schedule. Hit a theme park or something.
Yeah, that's what we did last year. Went
Yeah.
over to SeaWorld. It's pretty good time over there.
Nice. Yeah, we're using the same hotel again this year, so
Yeah.
I really hope to see you. I don't want to put public pressure on you, but if people do see Tim at the event, come up and say, "Hey, great episode!" Right? Another good reason to come to the event is with the timing of this episode, you're gonna have a lot of people recognize who you are at this thing. If
Yeah.
you don't come, you're gonna miss out on that boost of, "Oh, I want to talk to you. Hey, I got an idea for you, man." It's
No, and it's great. Like it's hard for me to gather because there's so much, right? That when you're kind of just talking here to be able to share, I can't think of everything at once. So as I kind of talk, some
Yeah.
stuff will start to come. So yeah,
Yeah.
if I can find ways to help people, and I mean you can use these tactics anywhere in life. It's just again, relationships are huge. Uh,
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely agree. It's a theme pretty much every episode around here to the
Yeah.
point where that is the dividing line between people who make it and the people who typically don't is a relationship focus.
Yeah.
But one of the things I want to talk about before I let you go, if you got a few more minutes, I know you're trying to launch a brand. We didn't spend a whole lot of time on that. How's it going? What got you into that? What are your next steps? Talk me through that just a little bit. Some people are surprised to hear me talk about building a brand because I spend so much time talking people out of that if they're not qualified. But we love that. We love to see people launching brands, and we've helped launch some significant, even household name brands around here for the qualified students. But
Yeah.
talk me through that. How's it going? What are you looking at?
So just over the years and just really knowing Amazon data, I've picked out a few niches that I could hit. So I'm still like in the beginning parts of it, working with an attorney on the brand name, and then hopefully start designing next week or the following week. So I wanted to launch in Q4 when you can push a little more product, if possible. But if I can't, I can't. I want to do this one right. I've tried it a couple times and one was okay, one I mean, I maybe broke even, but that was when I first started and now I really know how to use Amazon. But this will be a whole bigger picture of a brand with my own website and whatnot, where it's not just Amazon.
Excellent. Give me some numbers. How much did you put into it? What's the timeline on this thing?
It's the initial investment to launch.
Yeah, one of the things you'll discover very quickly about private label is it's a matter of you put a lot of effort, money, time, energy into the front end, and then you hope that eventually it starts to come back to you in a bigger way. Unlike retail arbitrage, where you spend a few bucks and you're flipping it here within a few weeks, you got that money back plus some. Right? It's not that game.
Yeah.
It's a longer term. It's a bigger investment. So I just wanted to give folks an idea of what you've put into this thing so far.
Sure. So what I'm doing is my initial investment's probably, I'd say 75 grand. And the reason I'm doing it is because and I would not recommend this to anyone that hasn't sold on like, hey, let's go spend 75 grand. Like this is all my attorney fees and design fees and Amazon listing you're gonna have and product. You really got to know what you're doing. Uh,
Mhm.
and now that I do, I feel 100% confident that it'll go great.
That's
Um,
awesome.
just to
Yeah.
have that control, you know? I've always wanted to have, like, a solid brand and not have to worry about other people if possible, but, yeah, don't ever let, you know, selling Oway or whatever deter you. It's great, but I want that more flexible, "This is my baby that I built, and I don't have to worry about other people."
Yeah, yeah. Well, we talked about that ascension of opportunity and leadership in our community earlier, go from flipping a few things to becoming pretty good at it, making a little money, maybe become a coach or leader or content creator on our team. As you ascend up and you start helping other people with their businesses, opportunities come to you. One of the things that's probably towards that top third of that ladder is, hey, launch a brand of your own. There's
Yeah,
risk. And I know a lot of people who own brands, even ones like, one guy in our community, he's in 35,000 retail grocery stores now. But it's not all necessarily all fun and games. He's made a lot of money, but there's serious competitors, there's, regulations, there's just, every new territory comes with its own set of challenges, obligations, unexpected consequences. It's it's business always has been and always will be, delayed gratification, patience, relationships, making good decisions today that you benefit from in the future and not making any big missteps, right?
Yeah.
But having your own brand is a lot fewer moving pieces for sure,
Yeah.
if you can pull it off.
No,
Uh, what,
and I'll
uh,
keep doing the other, wholesale, and because again, you're building relationships with other people. And again, always you're building relationships, whether if you're shopping at Walmart or your local grocery store, you're becoming close with the managers or maybe the owner of the small store. Like
Mhm.
just just keep that network building because that's going to get you farther.
Yeah. Oh, we even had a guy doing online arbitrage talking about relationships. People like, well, how can you build a relationship when I'm shopping online? And he'd placed some big orders with Target, which supposedly doesn't like resellers. He was placing big orders and they were getting turned down because their policy, whatever. So he just called corporate headquarters, pushed through, talked to the right people, said, hey, I'm trying to do business with your company. Put my orders through. And they did.
Yeah.
Like, it's relationships, man. If you get people on the phone, get them on Zoom, build relationships, be kind, represent your business well, opportunities will come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Yeah. Well, good stuff. I can't wait to hear how your brand goes. And the one stat I was going to share was, for my observation, 95% of all new sellers who try to launch their own brand fail, which is why we
Yeah.
don't teach it to new sellers. But you're
Yeah.
experienced. You've been there. You've got a feel for the arena. You know how to play the game. You've got the contacts, the connections, legal, and there's going to be a lot of good people at the conference, by the way, that you should probably meet. Just trying to talk you into it, man. But once you're prepared and positioned well, yeah, huge opportunity for
Yeah.
sure. So excited for you. If there's anything I can do to help, keep me in the loop, okay?
Oh, sounds great.
Outstanding. Well, anything else that's on your mind, Tim, as we start to wrap this one up, man? I think it was really good getting caught up with you. I think the listeners benefited a lot today. But anything else
Yeah,
on your mind?
totally. I mean, again, it took me what that would have been 6 years, 7 years to go full time. So like for me, it was slow and steady, which is great. And I wasn't a big risk taker back then. I take more risks now, but I would say they're moderate. So I'm comfortable doing it. But yeah, just keep grinding and you know learn as you go because I learn as I go every day.
Yeah.
It's and that's why the community is great and everything that they help with, the coaches. Yeah, you can't find that anywhere else, so appreciate what you guys do.
Well, appreciate you, man, being an asset to the community and feeding back into the community with encouragement. Thanks for being on the podcast again. We got to go back and research. Neither one of us can remember exactly how many times you've been on this show. It's at least 2 times, I think, before, maybe more. But we've enjoyed documenting your journey. We'll stick links in the show notes so people can kind of revisit those different checkpoints of your journey. But, well, good episode, Tim. Thanks for your time today, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. So, for the listeners who hung out with us today, if this is one of the first episodes, especially that you've ever heard of our show, I've got some great news for you. If you enjoyed this, we've done hundreds of interviews with proven Amazon course students like Tim at all levels of success. Some of them are having their first $10,000 month, some of them are having their first 7-figure year. Everything in between, you've got some big hitters, you've got some newbies, but we always have very practical, applicable tips, strategies, and ideas for you to apply to your business right now to encourage you forward. So go back in time, listen to some old episodes. And like Tim and I talked about today, if you're still able to come to Orlando, if you've got time to make plans, we'd love to see you there. The last 3 days of May 2025 is our big event. It's our big annual event, The Proven Conference, the website, theprovenconference.com. Come on down. Come see Tim. I'm going to make him come. I'm going to make the guy be there. We'll talk him into it. But if you can't join us there live, be sure to get the virtual access. There's hundreds of us that are going to be there. There's about 1,200 people already in the virtual Facebook group for the event that are going to be watching through live stream and getting the recordings as well. All the details are at theprovenconference.com. That's a good ending place. Hey, we'll have another great episode for you very soon. Thanks for joining us today, Warrior. Till then.